As the V8 SuperTrucks Championship makes its way towards the halfway point of the season, today it brings us towards Brands Hatch Circuit in the beautiful Kent, UK, United Kingdom. Today it's going to be round number 6, and it's going to be all up next here on iRacing Live and RaceSpot TV. And what should be an intense race, especially coming off what was an intense race at Nürburgring, as you'll see for last week's race recap. Zelensky has the control truck. He starts about a truck length ahead of the outside line. Green flags up, underway for round number 5 from Nürburgring. As they're already 3 wide entering the opening entry, 4 wide in fact, as they are very tight. Multiple trucks trying to bounce around. Bit of contact bouncing back and forth, but mostly clean to start the bottom side. That is Barrical trying to dive himself underneath for position, underneath Melrose. Gets into Melrose as Melrose puts sideways. He's going to dive it on in, trying to keep the spot, but Sakowicz has the faster line. Contact with Sakowicz as Coroni just follows back behind him for the time being. Now he's going to go back on the attack through the arena. Bit of contact on the left rear quarter panel of his truck. Decides against it, against dive bobbing in case there's more contact, like they had multiple times, but Roper takes it very wide as Coroni takes the spot. You can see from the bumper he's trying to gain that. You see the biggest mover of the race so far has been Sven Kamertz at this point with 3 positions gained and very close to almost getting on the back bumper to try and get a spot, as you've seen was Ruse. That is your quick update with the leaders as they run into lap traffic. That is David Crozier. Crozier just moves on the way. He's just going to stay on the bottom side, let Mogren go on the high side as they approach the Mercedes arena. White flags now out for Bobby Zelensky, still up to now a 3.2 second lead. Leads every single lap, 20 laps led. He'll take the checker flag with Nürburgring and win round number 5. He wins 4 of 5 to start the 2018 season. Today, it's round number 6 of the Sox Out Racing V8 SuperTrucks Championship from Brands Hatch Circuit here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live. And what should be an intense 27 laps, as you'll see from flag to flag coverage for round number 6. As you see with the track temperatures today, 21 degrees Celsius, 59 degrees humidity, and mostly cloudy skies on a very windy day on this 2.4 mile, 3.8 kilometer circuit for what should be a thrilling race here for the V8 SuperTrucks Championship. The V8 SuperTrucks Championship has been looking very strong so far, and what should be an intense race right now. Justin Prince alongside Paul Smith for today's coverage to bring you today's action, where right now Bobby Zelensky, as you've seen in the race recap, coming off career win number 10 in the series. He's got a points lead over Marco Mogren right now, first driver in the 400 club. Sven Kamertz, Eric Blixt, along with Logan Clampett around with the top 5, Justin Kruitoff, Wade Hayes, Martin Kapal, Daniel Thompson, and Diego Melrose round out your top 10 with the driver standings coming into today's action. Also, when it comes to the standings, there's 2 other championships coming into today. Manufacturer and the driver standings, along with the team championships. Team championships, Radicals Online, currently on top of the boards, 381 points, 312 for Slip Angle Motorsports, with Limp Balls Racing behind them in 302. In the 200 club today, coming in is Off Camber Motorsports and Workava Kinetic Racing. Torque Freak Racing Blanchimont will come in 6th, with Team Mad's entry 7th and 8th. Team Bushfink Racing and Race Clutch round out the top 10 in the team standings. As mentioned, there are 2 other championships. The manufacturer standings is one of them, where right now it is the Toyotas trailing to the Chevrolets 464 to 439 in the standing. There is also the road versus oval standings coming into today. The road drivers are currently on top, 466 points, 441 for the oval drivers coming into today's event. Now, today's event is going to be a challenging one. As you've seen, decent times from 2016 from Challenger, who had the race records for the lap and qualifying. Now, today is going to see a lot of different challenges here, Paul, for this circuit. A lot of tight parts of the racetrack, especially for the start of this race.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Hope you look forward to this fantastic race here from the Garden of England. That is Kent in the UK. And, well, it's a tricky track, is this one. You've got the tight, twisty section of the what's known as the Indy circuit here at Brands Hatch, but then it goes off onto the Grand Prix loop, and that's where the drivers really get some speed into these trucks. And heading down towards Hawthorns and Westfield, that's the places where you're going to see these guys on edge around those relatively high speed corners around this fantastic circuit.
Yeah, a lot of challenges for sure to come up with today. Once again, the track record 156.623 coming into today. That is from Micah Esnews with Christian Challenger coming the overall lap record, with a 156.1 coming into, just a little bit off, 124.474, I should really say, both with Christian Challenger. Apologies for that misread there. As you see, your qualifying times are up on the left side of your screen. Bobby Zelensky currently has the fastest time by 0.3 of a second over Marco Mogren. Right now, Sven Kamers is currently still on the track. He is in 4th at the moment. Let's see what he does here. This is right now coming around the track. I believe he recorded his times, just trying to get himself acquainted with this track, especially with trying to make sure you do not make any mistakes and go off the course. Especially, this is one of the tightest parts of the track. This is, of course, the Druids hairpin, or Druids as some say. A lot of drivers in open practice were colliding into each other when they were side by side and are sliding off and end up going in the grass on the exit, as you see right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And this corner that he's going through now, this is still on board with Sven Kamers, through Surtees. It's crucial to get the run out of that corner, because he's going to carry the speed all the way along here, down the drop here under the bridge, and then into Hawthorns here. Brake relatively late, try and carry as much speed through this right-hander. It's a fun track to go on, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be one where we're going to see some hard charges today.
Yeah, we definitely will see some hard chargers. As you mentioned, there's of course the Hard Charger Award as one of the main awards coming in for the V8 Super. Every single week there is the opportunity for there to be a Hard Charger Award, as you mentioned, of course. But the Hard Charger Award is sponsored by iRacing, where one person has a chance for each round to win 1 month of iAnalyze Racing. 2 non-podium drivers will be selected, of course, for each race. The biggest mover, which is the greatest change in position, then the most exciting, which is the driver who finishes at or above their position. Of course, you have to finish no higher than 4th, and you also are subject to contact penalties and so forth with that situation. That will end up with a fan vote that will happen after the race, and once that gets to that point. So that is something to watch for, again, with the Hard Charger Award. But now, as things are starting to wrap up with qualifying, we're just moments away from what should be a thrilling 27 laps here at Brands Hatch. With that, it's time to look at your starting grid for today's action. Bobby Zelensky, as mentioned, is starting on the front row with the pole, 126.283. Starting alongside Marco Mogren. In second spot, Eric Blex in row number 2 with Sven Kamers, who is about 0.6 off that pole time. Behind, Enrique Andre making his return to the series in 5th spot with Wade Hayes in 6th. Marta Kapal in 7th. David Barraclough will be in the 8th spot. Starting off in the top 10 as well behind them, it'll be Logan Clampett trying to improve for the 9th place qualifying spot. Diago Monroe rounds out the top 10. Magic Sakowicz starts off in 11th spot with Dejuan Karoni starting off in the 12th spot, 2 seconds off the pace. John Allen starts off 13th, Gabriel Ruse in 14th, with James King and Clifton Cockrell both recording no time set. Sam Harris and Taylor Burris will also make starts today in the 17th and 18th spots on the starting grid for today. So 18 drivers getting all set to go. It's going to be a full pace lap around the track before we get going here. So far this season, it's been the season of Bobby Zalenski with a pretty dominant start to the season, as mentioned today. To say the very least, class has been in session for most of the races so far by Bobby Zalenski.
I tell you what, it's just been absolute dominance. People have been coming up towards him though, and as they're getting the hang of these trucks, especially Marco Mogren, he's starting to challenge now a little bit to Bobby Zalenski. So as people gain more experience in these trucks, they're really starting to get up to the pace of Bobby, and it'd be good to see a real challenge today to Bobby Zalenski, because I tell you what, this is not an easy track to race at, especially not in these trucks.
Yeah, especially for sure, and a lot of close battles we've seen all season in some cases. Now they're getting ready to follow the pace car, I should really say, around the circuit here for Brands Hatch. Still a pretty big circuit here, and you mentioned some of the close action expected. Of course, the track itself, what do you expect to see? Who do you see trying to make a charge to be able to stand out for today's round?
Well, I mean, the thing is, you've got to look at people who have got experience around this circuit. Okay, maybe not in these vehicles, but you've got to look to people like an Eric Andre, Sven Kemert, Martin Kapal, David Barraclough, who wants to do really well. So people like that, they've got experience, okay, maybe in GT and in Formula races around this track, but they know the little foibles of the track. They know where every bump is. They know where to use the grass. There's bits of grasscrete on certain parts of this course, so definitely they'll know the little tricks here that maybe Bobby Zalenski won't know fully, but Bobby has just got that knowledge of this truck and is able to just get the speed, extract the speed out of this vehicle around here today.
Yeah, I was talking with Bobby Zalenski, in fact, earlier on in the past, between the last rounds, and one of the tracks he was looking forward to on the schedule was Brands Hatch. In fact, as he mentioned, never driving here really before at all. So this is really his first time being on the circuit to be able to get experience here with Brands Hatch for today. If you wanted to, for example, fall on board with some of our drivers as they work around their way around Brands Hatch, there will be 6 drivers with onboard cameras today. NX Racing's Logan Clampett, along with work of Kinetic Racing's Wade Hayes, will have one of the helmet cams. Also with helmet cameras, Off-Camber Motorsports and Justin Kruatoff, along with Team Bushwick Racing's James King. Also having streams will be both the Atlas SimSport in terms of Atlas SimSport, Taylor Burris, along with some of their affiliates, including Sam Harris. Those 6 drivers will be carrying onboard cameras, as mentioned. You can follow those links on the Socks Out Racing Facebook page. Meanwhile, we're getting towards the start and finish line for the start of this race. Again, 27 laps for today's action. Zalenski will start on the right side. Mogren will start on the left. Let's see how they handle this course. 27 laps. As Zalenski, again, the control car, waiting for the green flag up the flag stand, and away they go. We're off and away here from Brands Hatch. Zalenski already trying to drift up to the high side of it to hold up on the high side from Ogren, able to get a great exit. He's already got himself a 2-truck length lead. As Kapal was a little bit loose off the corner, they'll now come right into Druid's hairpin in a very tight collision.
Yep, it was Sven Kemert that got involved with Eric Blitz there. Oh, we've got more contact going further back as well. It's the number 10 truck of an Eric Andre. There's the 13 truck going across the grass. That's Yawad Karoni as well. But so far so good. Everybody's keeping out the walls. That's the main thing here.
As mentioned, during open practice, even teammates were bouncing off each other that time. Karoni with the race clutch truck going off the racetrack. Kemert's able to keep it going as well. He is currently up inside, currently sitting at the 5th spot for the time being. Zalenski able to get some open space right now with Marco Mogren away from Eric Blix, who's currently in 3rd. Wade Hayes leaves the train of trucks behind. Barraclough has a very bad run through the corner right there, coming towards Dinglebell, as he will try a late break to try and compensate, trying to keep himself away from Logan Clampett, who's already up to P number 7, +2 already.
Yeah, doing a really good job is Clampett. He's having to move forward. Cabal come under pressure now from Eric Andre, and Andre's going to make it round the outside, is he? Into Clark Curve. No, he's not, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Look at the trucks, they're weaving about on the power, and in front you've got Hayes and Kemetz as well. Kemetz trying to recover from here. It's action all the way through this field. This is fantastic stuff, and that's just the end of the first lap.
Yeah, in this race, you got to be ready to put your head on a swivel, pardon me, as Kemert's able to make the pass to get by Hayes. Meanwhile, going back to Clampett, he's now trying to continue to close on in now on Barraclough, able to get right to about half a truck length behind and having some decent pace right now. The top three, meanwhile, been able to pull on away to a gap of about 2 seconds up the road.
Yeah, great shot there as John Allen going through the cones there a little bit wide through insertees. We'll get a look at that from on board. But John Allen, you can see how much he's fighting with these trucks. They're not looking compliant around this track here. And look, he just locked the rears slightly under braking, lost control, lost a ton of positions there, drops down to 16th place.
Yeah, starting off today, having to start at the back of the field alongside Rockwell and Burris, as he is able right now sitting in about the 16th spot after that slide. Right now, meanwhile, up towards near the front of the field. We're going now towards Logan Clampett, going for the attack, and he's going to go for a slide through the curve, bouncing off a car. That is, I believe, Andre getting bounced off. Yellow flag comes out as Clampett able to just finally get on going. A little bit of damage from him. A very close call coming towards the Brabham Straight.
Yeah, absolutely. It was all going into Clark Curve, where he lost control and just clipping on Eric Andre, spinning the truck around. You see the dirt flying up there. We'll try and get another look at that this time from the rear of the truck here. And you look behind, he's under pressure, and he gets a wheel onto the grass. That's what it was, going into the braking zone. You can see how he's fighting with that truck. Around he goes there, back up and running, and that's why we have the caution out.
Yeah, that's going to cycle him all the way back to 12th after. And for race clutch, of course, this was for the first time this season, that race clutch was at full strength. Some bad luck from Andre to be able to get into that right there too. So a little bit of bad luck in the early going of this race for sure for the number 10 truck.
Yeah, that number 10 getting involved in a couple little bits of shenanigans here. We'll look at the positions gained here. David Barraclough up 2 positions, Wade Hayes up 1, Diogo Melra up 2. As you see, and Eric Andre getting involved in those couple instances, dropped him down 4 positions here. Magic Sakovic up 1. Look at that, James King up 4 positions. He's going to Brands Hatch tomorrow because there's the American, I couldn't remember the name of it. It's the American Festival where they've got the NASCARs and the trucks, and I'm sure you've got the name of it there, Justin.
Yes, I obviously have the name of that, of course, which, of course, with the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series, pardon me, here at Brands Hatch, that being the American Speed Fest.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes, that is it, and a lot of people watching this race, probably watching today's event here with the V8 SuperTrucks. Some drivers, including, I believe, King, are going to be at the track tomorrow to watch some of the action. So that is something where it's a very unique series for sure with the NASCAR Euro Series to be able to have that and have drivers competing across Europe on all kinds of different circuits.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great stuff to watch, and this track, it really brings us great racing. It always does. And just to finish off, Sam Harris and Gabriel Roos as well up a number of positions. In fact, Sam Harris up 4 positions from the start, having to start from the back there. So some big gainers early on in this race here, Justin, and I would imagine with this bit of pacing now, this caution period, drivers are going to be able to look after the tyres now and be able to just extend the life of those tyres a little bit longer. Gives you a bit more strategy play when you're going further on into that pit window. Of course, drivers having to take tyres in a mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, of course, good thing to note there with the mandatory pit stop. The window today is around lap 7 to about lap 25-ish today in terms of the pit window to take that mandatory stop. Of course, you don't have to take fuel, but some drivers do add a couple gallons for weight balancing. So that is going to be something where do drivers go towards the end of the run for their tires? Do they split it up in half, or do they try and undercut the field? This is going to definitely help a lot of drivers try and at least save a lot more tires, especially since we win just about 2 laps just about on a green flag run there.
Track temperature's not too high here today as well, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. I can't do the maths to work that out in Celsius for those of you who use European measurements. And Clampett and Eric Andre are coming onto pit road, along with Sam Harris as well. It's outside the pit window though, isn't it? So maybe this is just to get some fresh tyres and fix up a little bit of damage as well.
I think that's part of it too. I think the main thing with the damage, because Andre had a lot of damage on the right front and some of the rear, Clampett all over the front bumper of his truck, as you see on the center of your screen. So both of them are probably thinking, well, I have some time to get some repairs before we have to get going. For Harris, might be just thinking of getting the tires right here, as he's off and away. He had no damage on that truck. He's off and away in the Atlas SimSport machine, that yellow and black truck. But of course, one thing we definitely have to mention, one of the things that some of these drivers have to adjust to is there was a new build that came out this past week. And one of the main things was a dynamic track temperature where it will change as the race goes on, not just the air temperature now. So a lot of these drivers had to make adjustments to potentially to what they had set up, what they were planning here, and of course, for probably Jake Blackhall, who was very happy about this, chance to mow the grass, so to speak, along both sides of the track.
We know a couple of the Top Trick Racing guys were trying that out during the week there, getting a bit of fun. I know Jonathan Palmer, who is the real-life owner of Brands Hatch, former Formula 1 driver, who owns Brands Hatch along with a few other British circuits. He doesn't like people going on his grass, so I did warn the SuperTrucks Racing guys to maybe just hide that video away from Jonathan Palmer. But we're getting towards the restart here.
Yes, we're coming towards the restart. As mentioned, they're working their way around the track, coming towards the Sterling's Bend now, as they'll try and reset themselves up. Right now, single file, right now in the top 5 is Bobby Zelensky, followed by Marco Mogren, Eric Blixton third. Ben Komertz was able to work his way back up to 4th, while Wade Hayes is in 5th, David Barraclough in 6th, Martin Capal 7th, Diego Melro in 8th, Sakowicz in 9th, and behind them is James King. And with that, it's time to get ready for the restart. Pace car is off the track. They go towards the right side of the track, coming towards the Brabham Straight, waiting for Zelensky to go, and he goes there. Green flags back in the air, and away we go lap once again here from Brands Hatch. And a very big dent from Mogren, getting into the back of Zelensky just about, maybe a little bit, as he's still in second spot. Meanwhile, side by side, Blixton and Komertz going for late braking into Druids as Zelensky goes wide.
Yeah, Zelensky hasn't looked confident at this restart here. He was twitching out of Paddock Hill Bend. Komertz going off track here at Graham Hill Bend. That's a disaster for him. He'll need to keep that pointed straight, which he does. Return track safely, but disaster for Sven Komertz on that one. But Marco Mogren, now he's putting the pressure on Bobby Zelensky.
Meanwhile, they'll have to dodge some cones here as Gabriel Roos just mowed a bunch of cones. Caroni gets bumped from behind while bouncing off some of the cones that are flying into his windshield right there. So a bunch of close calls near the middle parts of the field behind Sakowicz on back. John Allen just bounced off the curves right behind him as well, as Roos is going to now try and recover a little bit, mowing more and more grass. Meanwhile, up towards the front, everyone's really starting back to single file, although James King, gaining 1 position since the restart, wants to go right now behind Melro and Capal, right on his back door, on their back bumpers.
Yeah, we're on board with King there, really putting the pressure on. You can carry so much speed through the Jim Clark curve, down the Brabham Straight, across the line once again. Lap 7 of the race was started now. Really tricky braking zone. There's a Team Mad car running wide. That's Melro. It's going to hold that inside line for Druids. You've got to really just get that truck across to the inside. But look at that. Capel trying to go around the outside. Not going to work this time.
And you see right there, that was something seen a lot in the open practice, exactly there, with Capel, especially him and his teammate, where they ended up both going near into the grass or bumping off there. King, meanwhile, still waiting to get the attack. Meanwhile, go back to 11th spot because Logan Clampett has already gained 6 spots since the restart. Right behind him, Sam Harris is going to follow him on through to P number 12. So right now, some of the drivers who went to get into the pits either to get repairs or, in the case of Harris, to get fresh tires, are starting to see their dividends here, even though it was outside the pit window, getting away from the traffic, as you see right there. Ruse also trying to recover some spots with John Allen right behind them.
Capel and Sakovic side by side into Sheen curve. Oh, Capel's on the grass. I tell you what, they're saving Brand Hatch a lot of lawnmower costs today. That's for sure. They're going across the grass even more on the exit of Stirling, heading down towards Clark Curve, and here's 66. That's Sven Kemmers. He's trying to make a recovery after going off at Graham Hill Bend, already up to 8th place on this recovery drive.
He fell back to outside the top 10, now able to get back up to P number 8 across the stripe. Currently he's about 7 seconds back in the leader. You see now, meanwhile, Sakovic on the high side, going around Capel, late braking. Can he get in front through Druids? Able to do so to get the position, able to get to P number 9 for him right now. So as now they continue to try and get single file, getting very close there with Sakovic near the back door of Kemmers there with late braking. Now for Kemmers and for Sakovic, the main focus is reaching the next group. That involves Hayes, Barraclough, Melrose, and King. Now following on board with Torque Creek Racing with Barraclough right now. In P number 5 right now, the second truck in that train right now, trying to just keep up with Hayes right now, who is currently last time by with Hayes of 0.6 of a second faster.
Barraclough struggling a little bit through. There's that back end of the circuit going through Sheen once again, heading towards Stirling. He's got Melrose and he's got King behind him on track, heading out of Stirling. That cambered corner, it really does help you go around that corner in that left-hander through the final right-hander. And these drivers are really on edge with these trucks today, aren't they, Justin? They're really pushing, and the back end are just sliding about. And Corone's headed into them. Oh, and he's been rear-ended. And the yellow.
Caution.
Yeah.
Caution flag coming out. Corone just got by, but you're going to see this on the replay right now. Went on the left side, thought he was clear, ends up getting bumped from behind. I believe that was Allen. Hits the tires, comes back out on track into the middle of the track, and then there goes Burris head first into the back end in that D-Box sponsored truck. So Corone, bad sequence of lucks there as the caution's back out for the second time today.
Yeah, we're just looking at that on board. We're going to stick on board because he'll come back on track. And that truck, he doesn't know where he's going to go and just hits the brakes, locks up, has nowhere to go. And, well, nowhere to go but into the back of Corone.
Yeah, and a lot of damage on the back end, and now that's going to open up a big question since the time of the caution was right towards the beginning of the pit window for a lot of the drivers up at the front. What do they do now as they try and catch up to the pace car? Do they decide to come in during this caution to try and take that mandatory stop now, or do you think see some drivers play the strategy game and hope that there's another caution in a range of about 5-10 laps where they can come in and gain a bit of track position and maybe some fresher tires on that next caution?
I think with how early we are in this race here, 2 cautions already, and they always say cautions bring cautions. I feel that it's a little too early to make that pit stop yet. You want to take your pit stop as late as possible, and because we've had two cautions here, that means that these drivers will be able to look after their tyres a bit more. You want to go in a little bit later, but give yourself enough time to be able to use those new tyres.
That's for sure right now. Meanwhile, as they continue to catch up to the pace car, why don't we take a quick break here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live. You're watching the Sox Out Racing and V8 Super Trucks live from Brands Hatch for round number 6. We'll be right back in just a few moments here from the UK.
Fuel usage.
Averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons. Change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons. Changing right side tires.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
And welcome back, everyone, as it's time for the pit window to open. As mentioned, there was the chance that some might stay out. This time, these drivers decide, we're going to take the fresh tires right now since the pit window opened at lap number 7. Everyone coming in except for 2 trucks. The race clutch trucks are the only ones not to come in, as Bobby Zalenski is going to lead them out. Big time collisions, and Marco Mogren got loose on the pit exit, going side by side with Eric Blixt. He just about, I believe, might have hit the front left on his truck, able to avoid damage on that on a close call as everyone comes out of the pit.
We'll see if we can have a look at that again. It was Marco Mogren, wasn't it? We'll go on board with him. There he is. So we're on the pit road right now, getting the tyres done. Getting the right side tyres done, so we should be nearly there. Don't worry, you're not missing anything here with this replay. Away he goes. Now that's the unique thing. Loses control. Oh, I tell you what, I think he might have got away with that one.
I looked at it as soon as I finished up looking at it myself. He just barely avoided hitting the left front on that. Could have been a fair amount of damage where he might have had to come in and get some more repairs after that. But as mentioned, this is where the strategy comes in. The race clutch trucks, both of them stayed on out here. Yeah,
this is it. This is what they're doing. They're rolling the dice. They're hoping that there's another caution here. And if history goes by anything, there should be. I hope not, because this could end up being a very long broadcast if that's the case. But those guys, they're hoping for another caution, then get some fresh tyres. Fresh tyres later on. We've seen how drivers who have to work their way through the field take those later tyres. They seem to just then have an edge over everyone else, because these tyres do have a lot of drop-off as we get ready for the restart here.
They definitely do. You got to make sure you save them a little bit here. And now they got to hope that their strategy works here. The race clutch trucks will lead them down. Caroni and Andre first and second. Zelensky, Blixt, Mogren are right now also in the top 5. Away we go as the race clutch trucks lead them down the Brabham Straight towards the Paddock Hill Bend. As Zelensky already looking to get underneath Andre on the exit as they approach their way now to Druids. Gonna go late braking is Zelensky, able to get the P2. Caroni moves up the racetrack, and Zelensky, he's going to potentially get a 2-for-1 if he can make this stick. And it looks like he will do so, although very close behind him.
Yeah, absolutely close behind, and I think that's just the older tyres coming into effect a little bit there as well. You've had a couple of heat cycles through them, and Caroni's just dropping back here. He's lost a position to his teammate. Now he's losing a position to Blixt here as they drop down the hill. But Bobby Zelensky must be rubbing his hands with glee. We've got 2x2 action further back as well. Clampett making his way around the outside of Matt Kapal. And that's up to 10th place now for Clampett.
Having a battle there with Harris as well at one point, 3 wide for a split second, and now Clampett's trying to close on up. Now up in front of them, you see falling along to the back end of Mogren, looking back at James King, trying to gain some time now on the first of the 2 race clutch trucks up in front of Coroni here on the older tires. Now back to Barraclough as he's going to have to go back towards single file as he's trying to go for the switchback. Can't get it to go on Sven Kemmert.
Oh, 42, Sam Harris. Big incident.
Also bouncing off the wall after that, Gabriel Ruse as a big incident. Caution flags out, smoke coming from the engine. We're going to see what just happened to that Atlas Sim Sport machine of Sam Harris. Try to go underneath Clampett to go for the pass, but hit a bump and then smack the wall hard and hit Ruse, and a few other trucks getting involved as well.
Yeah, we'll try and get a look at that from Ruse on board. And it's really difficult here. We say that cautions breed cautions. And it just seems that truck of Harris just got a little bit of a bounce on, and as soon as it did that, oh, there's nowhere for Ruse to go there at all. He goes into the wall as well. Nightmare for him. He's had to take a tour back to the pits here as Gabriel. Absolute nightmare for him. Very little he could do in that one, to be fair to him. I think one of the Team Madcat trucks got involved in that one as well. Let's have a look from on board. Magic Sakovic. I'll try and get Sakovic. There we go. And yeah, it was. You can see he can't see very much really in front of what's going on. He's got trucks around him. Now I can see Harris there on the right-hand side of Clampett, losing control. Where do you go? Into the back of the truck.
Yeah, getting a little bit of damage there. I think Clifton Cockrell got very lucky too, where he almost bumped into the same situation, able to get away with no damage on his front end of the truck in the number 27 right behind Sakovic as well. So that was close calls for the 27. Everyone's now going to try and catch back up to the pace car right here after that. And now, question is, now that you have to quit caution for race clutch, should expect them to come in to get their fresh tires here for Coroni and Andre, who are coming to this caution flag second and fourth.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how it was affected for them now. And Eric Andre, he did pit once already, hasn't he? Because he came in after that first caution.
Oh, yeah, that's right, with the damage, yeah.
So he took tyres at that pit stop, so he's on a little bit fresher rubber. He's got 10 lap old tyres at the moment. It's Coroni, his teammate, that's really struggling on here. 14 lap old tyres. I mean, with the amount of laps left in this race, 27 laps in this race, so we're past halfway here, or we're pretty much at halfway. If I was Coroni, I would come onto pit road now, take your tyres. You're going to have a big advantage over the majority of the field. Ruse and Harris are both in the pits at the moment, as we imagine there would be after that incident. Taylor Burris has been in the pits for over 10 minutes from getting involved in something else as well. These drivers, I don't think they're quite used to a track that's... It's not the widest of tracks, it's not the narrowest of tracks that we ever go on with these trucks, that's for sure, but it's not the widest of tracks, and there's not a lot of runoff either side. There's no sort of tarmac runoffs there. It's all grass and it's all gravel, and so one little mistake, before you know it, you're ending up in the wall.
Yeah, that is for sure. You don't want to end up in the wall, and with this series, sometimes you get those kind of battles side by side. We've seen a lot of side-by-side battles, in fact, over each of the rounds this season, and now it's going to be where you have to try and time it as they pass now by. I think Coroni stayed out. Barraclough is going to come back in now. Going to also bring in Sakowicz as well. Also bring in one air truck behind him as well, and Allen.
Yeah, it makes sense, Sakowicz coming in to get that little bit of damage repaired on his truck after that incident. I think he might need a change of underpants as well. But John Allen, it's a good opportunity. Get fresh tyres, get yourself to the back of that queue, and see if you can make some moves. If you're further down the field, why not make moves like this?
Yeah, try and gamble with strategy and try and get the fresher tires to where try and use that to your advantage. Yeah, you're correct 100% on that. Why not? Why not come in, get the fresher tires, especially if you're near the back anyway. You might be able to gain any spots lost anyway if you sacrifice those. But now, the question is, once we get to the restart, what's going to happen now for Enrique Andre now when he gets going here? He's going to be second on the restart. Caroni, he's still going here in the 4th spot. Now, if you're the race clutch trucks, what do you think's going through their heads working together for this possible restart here?
I'm thinking there's going to be another caution here. And if they do have another caution, make their pit stop then. Because with the amount of cautions that we've had, you not taking your pit stop within these cautions is just going to ruin your race. Because if you do a green flag pit stop now, when all the trucks are pretty close together, you're just going to end up half a minute back from the rest of the field. So I don't understand not taking this opportunity now with this caution to come in and take those tyres.
Still coming towards the restart here, about a half a lap until we get to the restart as they continue to line up right now. If you're just tuning in right now, the top 5 is as follows: Bobby Zelensky, Enrique Andre with race clutch, and behind them Eric Blitz and one of the Lentpulse racing trucks. Caroni in 4th, in 5th, Marco Mogren. 6th place is James King with Wade Hayes, Sven Kamertz in behind them. Kapal and Clampett round out the top 10 right now for the field as they head down towards the Clark curve. And try and time this up again. Single file. Pace car is off the track. And all these trucks are getting all set to go to get back underway. Approaching now, 12 laps to go as the green flag's up in the air. Away we go as Zelensky's getting a nice grip, clean start. Blixt already trying to go across Andre. Going to go to the bottom of the cross. Side-by-side action behind as Mogren able to get by for P number 4.
Oh, Barraclough's lost it. Barraclough is around in the background at Paddock Hill Bend. We'll try and stick with the action though because it's still 2x2. They're staying green for the time being. Caroni's dropping down the field here. Those old tyres are not doing him well here. And he is struggling on, but really I think that was an opportunity missed for race clutch.
Big time opportunity missed. That time, though, Barraclough went off the racetrack, did not lead to the caution, as you see. Sven Kamertz had a little bit of nerve-wracking moment. Now Clampett, he's going on a bit of a charge now. He's up to 3 spots since the restart as he's now trying to close on up. Meanwhile, that truck, as you see on your screen in Caroni, got to be thinking, I hope I didn't mess up this strategy. That thing bobbling around, in fact, that time around as they continue to work their way around the circuit, through the Sheen curve, down through Sterling, and trying to gain a bit of ground. Right now, you're following along with Wade Hayes. He's in P number 9 right now, trying to get on by now for that next spot. As now, Enrique Andre is going down in the pits. The race clutch trucks are coming in.
Yeah, I really don't understand this strategy. I think they've really compromised themselves unnecessarily. I think they had the opportunity to get some fresh tyres on that last pit stop, that last caution. And they're just going to drop right down to the back of the field now. I really don't understand it. But I'm not the one driving the truck, so yeah, what's interesting to see is Sakowicz goes for a little bit of a run through the gravel there, manages to keep it going straight, only loses 1 position, does he, into Graham Hill Bend? The answer is yes.
You seen there that Kapal really went for a power slide 2 off the curves. Just behind Sakowicz too. He's going to now go for the attack on the outside line and trying to make it work. Meanwhile, we're going to go back up towards the hill, trying to get themselves up towards the towards one of the tighter sections again of the racetrack. This is approaching the Hawthorne's Bend, I believe, as they move their way up towards the circuit. This pass complete now by Capal. But the main story so far in terms of positions gained has been Logan Clampett today. Coming towards 10 laps to go, he's up to P number 6, the highest he's been all day.
Yep, doing a really good job here. James King, look at that, 11 positions gained in today's race. Great job from him. Clampett having to do a bit of a recovery drive. He's still going here, up in 6th place. Good driving from him today. And really now, he's got his sights set on Sven Kemmertz in front of him.
And trying to focus on trying to get his marks. Last time by for King, 3/10 off the leaders with a 127.5, 127 3s and 2s from the leaders as King takes Druids wide, trying to keep the momentum going. Kemmertz right now trying to continue to close up. He's also in the 127 5s at the time being in terms of times in the top 5.
Yeah, we just saw a bit of side-by-side action as well further back. Sakovic, Cockrell and John Allen. I thought they were going to go 3 wide. That's why I was stuck with it. But instead they've all sorted themselves out. But you look at Bobby Zelensky now at the front. He's pulled out a gap. And if we look at him compared to Eric Blix, 1.5 seconds it's around at the moment. Nice bit of green flag action going on. Let's hope these guys can keep it up here, because this track produces great racing. And, well, Eric Blix, he's got a bit of concern from behind. Marco Mogren is putting the pressure on him at the moment.
And Mogren trying to get as quick as he can through these corners off the rumble strips. Nice exit there for Mogren as they move their way down the hill they go. Trying to maybe plan out some late braking as they go through the Clark curve and down once again the Brabham straight. Again, they have about 9 laps to go. Coming around, 10 to go as you see on your scoring ticker. Down to 9 right now, so they have to try and figure out a way to close on up. Last time by, Zelensky, he had been 3/10 faster away from the traffic now. Everyone else, 127 5s on back, basically. So now Zelensky's, if they continue to try and battle it out, Blixt and Mogren, he's in a decent shape here to keep on pulling away as they go through the grass.
Yeah, taking to the grass, it's not the best way of doing things, that's for sure. There's not a lot of grip out there, but these drivers seeming to find the trucks out there on the grass, heading towards the back end of this circuit now, down towards Hawthorne's, and Mogren's just sort of not able to get within that half-second gap now of Blix, just hanging behind for the moment. Wade Hayes and Diogo Melra, that's the closest battle on track at the moment. 7th and 8th positions, as you can see here, just 0.3 of a second between the two of them as they're going through Westfield, heading down through Dingledale. That's a little drop, and then uphill into Sheen.
They're coming through Sheen right now and trying to work their way now to Sterling. Bit of a tighter corner here as you see right near the back end. Melrose again. Seems that they're about even in terms of the pace they are running at this point. Now going their way through the Clark curve. And you can tell Melrose wants this one spot here to get past Hayes. He that time bounced off the curves, keeping away from that bump that caused one of the previous cautions there. Just trying to time it up. Last time by, a 10th slower was Melrose, but get some luck because Hayes a little bit wider on the exit there. Now going to work their way now through Druids, right near the back door. Doesn't use the chrome horn and just can't get to where he needs to be to get the pass quite yet.
Yeah, he's just kind of stuck there now, and look who's behind. Capal has got up to the back of this group here, so it's going to be a three-truck train as they go through. Surtees once again. Capal taking a little bit of a wider line. Look at how loose Capal was out of Surtees there. All manners of loose, but those trucks just settling down at the moment. Nothing much to keep an eye on here. Sven Kemmertz is within half a second now of James King in front of him. And, well, Team Bushvik versus Radicals. It's a battle that we've seen many a time in various series, and it continues here in the Socks Out Racing V8 SuperTrucks. Oh, Eric Blix.
Eric Blix, he's going to go towards the bottom side. right now side by side with Marco Mogren, trying to fight to keep on holding on to the spot. Coming down the Brabham Straight, now down the Paddock Hill bend. Can Blixt hang on for at least a few more sets of corners? No, he can't. Has to hit the brakes on the bottom side as he's going to fall back to P number 3, as that puts Mogren now to second with a 3-second gap to Zielinski now.
And Kemets has made his way through on the inside of King as well. So they're definitely moving forward, Mogren and Kemets in this one. They've got the bit between the teeth now. What about the drivers who have taken pit stops a little bit later? Magic Sakovic is in 10th place. He's on fresher rubber by 4 laps of the cars in front, trucks in front of him. And he's gained on the guys in front of him by a good second actually. So it'll be interesting to see, keep an eye on him, as well as people like John Allen and David Barraclough. But Barraclough is a bit far off, of course, after that incident. And, well, I'm just going to mention it here. Andre and Corone, we'll bring it up on screen here. 5.9 seconds behind Barraclough, and Barraclough is 8 seconds behind Joe Allen, the next driver. So that just tells you how much those race clutch trucks lost out.
I wasn't exactly sure why they did that strategy, to be honest there. But the main thing I want to mention now with Sakovic, in terms of the time, last time by, he was the 3rd fastest truck on the racetrack. So those fresh tires are starting to see a bit of a big-time difference for that Team Mad truck, as you see. You've seen 1 second faster last time. Let's see if he can keep up the pace this time with 6 laps to go. Crosses by the line in terms of the time. Actually lost half a second. So that's the wrong way to go in terms of a pace the last time, because the leads are still in the 128s on older tires.
Yeah, they certainly are. And Zielinski actually, that gap's just come down slightly between him and Mogren. We've seen how Mogren has got some great one-lap pace around here, so hopefully he can continue to bring that through for us. Blixt, though, he hasn't lost Blixt. Eric Blixt is still there in that 3rd place, hanging on to him and really hanging on to his coattails on that one. But look at Logan Clampett now. Oh, actually, David Barraclough, he's gone spinning once again. This is at Graham Hill Bend, I believe. I think he's going to do this all on his own. We're going to have a look at the replay. He's coming out of Druids here. Oh, he's all over the place coming out of Druids. Gets onto the grass, loses control. And then does, well, let's just carry it on 360 and get it going again.
I mean, that was very impressive with the 360, but now that's 2 spins on that set of tires, so that's going to be an absolutely very loose truck the rest of the way now for him. But getting back to Clampett, yeah, look at the time. Circle the lap 21 time, 1.2 seconds gain, coming back to stripe, still in the 6th spot for now, but he's the charging, gaining time each of the past 3 laps.
Yeah, 5 to go as well, so he's running out of time now, but he's getting in that slipstream, he's getting in that draft of the 2 trucks in front, and Kemets and King, they're not giving up this one here, and if they keep on battling and keep on tripping up over each other, that's just going to invite Clampett to come into this battle and possibly take 2 positions here. He could easily do that. I do believe he's got every opportunity to do so now, because he is on the back of that train.
Yeah, that is through Surtees right now, going up the hill they go, trying to get a bit of a run here, use maybe a bit of the toe, now down the hill for the tight brake section. He's in a great spot here, and you can see the way he's trying to run the apex. He wants to make the pass now potentially, as we now follow on inside his cockpit right here after recovering from some incidents before with some little bit of damage you still see on that left front. But the way you've seen him wheeling it there, very smooth with his movements, just catching it if it starts to bobble a little bit loose, the way he's trying to carry the speed on the exits.
Yeah, getting it onto the grass as well. That's not the best way of exiting at Stirling's. Heading into Clark Curve, final corner. Oh, just getting a little bit ragged there on the exit of Clark Curve, down the Brabham Straight for another lap in the books. Into Paddock Hill Bend, tricky corner, don't want to touch on an inside curb, it unsettles the car. You can use all of that runoff there on the exit into turn number 2, Druids. And look at King. King is losing a bit of ground there, his back end was going out. And he's all manner of out of shape there, as Caroni's had a spin as well, but we'll keep an eye on these two as Clampett going for the inside.
Side by side on the left side on the preferred line, and Clampett just makes it look easy, able to clear on by. Had the gap with King getting a bit loose on the exits, and he's now got the spot. He's up into the top 5. Update again with Caroni. He has now got a DNF for this one, done for the day. After this, as you mentioned, spinning out, and as we've seen, with strategy all the way back, even behind Barracle with his 2 spins, and it leads to this.
Yep, and it just spat him out into the gravel there. He's way back at the back. I don't believe that he's just keep on doing donuts in the gravel. That's not the idea. And he says, do you know what? I think it's time to park it.
Yeah, right now they're including him. Harris is also behind the garage area. Ruse and Burris are both still at the paddock area getting some repairs right now here at Brands Hatch. 3 laps to go meanwhile. Clampett holding on now into 5th spot. Now up to about a half a second gap to James King. King's just going to try and send it meanwhile, but just able to close up a tiny bit, but losing time on the exit. Falling back at 1 moment for 0.6 of a second. Meanwhile, we go back now to Martin Capal now. Again, we mentioned him. He was a bit of battles with Melrose. Still trying to keep up with the back of Melrose right now as they work their way through the tight sections again, now through Graham Hill Bend. Meanwhile, back towards the new
Alan's gone through.
number 11.
Yeah, Alan went through. We didn't get it on the screen. We'll have a look here. It's into Paddock Hill Bend. He's on fresher tyres by 4 laps as well. And I think that's just showing through there, getting past Clifton Cockrell.
Yeah, that was a nicely timed pass again, coming towards 2.5 laps to go for the lead trucks right now in the circuit. Again, going back to where Capal is, again, trying to time it out again for maybe one last shot of a pass. Back in 2016, should mention this, there was a pass attempt that led to a truck going into the air past the start and finish line. So that will be an interesting situation if that becomes to where they have to bump and bang coming out of the Clark curve down the Brabham Straight. As they continue to try and work themselves together, continue to try and battle up. 0.3 of a second is the gap.
Yeah, and well, these tyres now starting to scream a little bit. They've got 16 laps of them. Okay, they've had a couple of cautions there. Diogo Melrose not getting anywhere near that apex at all. Send in a postcard or something because you missed that trip by a mile. Capal all over the back of Melrose, but Melrose, we've seen him, very tenacious driver all the way through this season.
Yeah, he's been a very strong driver throughout this season, having some good runs, and now trying to get himself at least one more spot again. Melrose also had some strong runs from him. Just needs to get to the exact position. He's right where he needs to be. 0.3 back. He just has to time it out right here as the leaders continue to have about a lap and a half to go. Go up towards Marco Mogren. And now where Bobby Zelensky is trying to keep away because the gap has shrunk in the past lap from 1.5 seconds to 1 second flat. Look at the time gained the past 3 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe it's a little bit Zelensky just looking after the tyres. Or maybe it's Mogren just having that pace advantage. Let's see how they compare across the line. Well, Bobby Zelensky does a 1:27.9. I think that's a response for them because 28.1 from Mogren. I think that was Zelensky just maybe looking after his truck a little bit here as we're on to the final lap of the race.
White flags out here at Brands Hatch. Here for round number 6 here for the V8 SuperTrucks Championship. Mogren trying to do anything he can. As mentioned, lost 0.2 on the lap, trying to speed as much as he can, and now is losing even more ground. Right now, more drivers now going to defensive mode, trying to go for blocks. Capal trying to go for a pass. This is for P number 8 once again, with Melrose right behind him. Did he lose his Capal? Trying to match up the speed, losing about a 1/10 there. Now Sakowicz is now on the back door, trying to get himself up to P number 9. But able to pull away is Capal as they move their way again down the Cooper Straight through Surtees, moving their way out on the exit as they are still single file. Meanwhile, Mogren can't keep up with Bobby Zalenski up at the front. The gap has maintained at 1.3 seconds for a majority of the lap. No matter what Mogren can do, he just can't get to where he needs to be. A little too late with the charge.
Certainly is, but a great drive from Zalenski. He's been at the front for pretty much all the race, but what a race it's been from Bobby once again.
And Bobby Zalenski continues to dominate. He'll come away with a victory at Brands Hatch in the V8 SuperTrucks Championship and continue his strong run with his 11th career win in the series.
Certainly does. Battling going on. James King, he's not giving up, but he's not quite close enough to clamp it to make the move. Sakovic has made the move on Kapal on this last lap. We haven't seen where that was, but he's up to 9th place, I believe, in that one at the end. Yes, he is. And Eric Andre, he's battling away, losing ground. Oh, contact with Clifton Cockrell. Around goes Cockrell, and I tell you what, Clifton won't be happy about that one. He'll surely be having a few words with the race director after that one.
Especially since that was for P number 12. It was a good race overall, I have to say that. A few drivers still had to work their way around. Barriclow, he's still kicking and screaming. He's going to come away with a 14th place finish, despite spinning around twice in this run. So able to survive on what surely was a very loose truck after the spins to salvage himself a finish for this one in 14th place for Barriclow.
Absolutely, and do you know what? There's been that much action going on. We haven't even mentioned YouTube viewers. What's your thoughts on the hard charger? Who do you think has been the most exciting driver? Let us know in the live chat, please, because there was that much action going on there. It was hard to keep up with. So let us know your thoughts on the most exciting driver, because they could be ending up with a possible nomination for the hard charger award. But why don't you take us through the results then, Justin?
Let's look at those results right now. Class is still in session for Bobby Zalenski here for the V8 SuperTrucks and the SLR Series. He's coming out on top today. 1.4 seconds was the gap overall over Marco Mogren with Radicals Online. He had a strong run, trying to make a charge in the last few laps, but a little too late to be able to catch up. Eric Blix coming away in third. He had been fighting hard to keep P number 2 for much of that last green flag run. Ben Commerce in fourth with Logan Clampett coming up and charging his way to P number 5. James King finished off sixth with Team Bushfink Racing with Wade Hayes in 7th. Diego Melrose finished off in the 8th spot today for Team Mad. Team Mad number 2 entry comes away with Magic Zakowicz coming away in 9th. Martin Kapal rounded out the top 10, as you've seen, trying to fight very hard for the position, with John Allen coming away in the 11th spot with Slip Angle Motorsports, his first start in a while. Enrique Andre was one of the 2 drivers that took an interesting strategy, to say the very least. Comes away in the 12th spot over Clifton Cockrell after contact for P number 12. Cockrell able to come away 13th, with Barriclow coming away in 14th. There were 4 DNFs today, with Caroni coming out after spinning around and doing donuts in the grass, a part of that strategy with Race Clutch, 5 laps down. Gabriel Ruse, their 16th, 15 laps down with extensive repairs after a collision involving Sam Harris with Atlas Simsport in 17th spot. 20 laps down in the end, Taylor Burris after he ended up bumping into the back of a truck that came back on the racetrack, and during a caution situation, that truck was destroyed on the front end. Motor ended up having to get repairs, finishes off with a DNF in the 18th spot. But with that, it's time to get things going here. Round number 6 of the V8 SuperTrucks Championship was a thrilling one, and we'll be back with your post-race coverage here on iRacing Live and RaceSpot TV.
Fuel usage.
Averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons, change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons, changing right side tyres.
Well, what a breathless race that was in the Socks Out Racing V8 Super Truck Championship from Browns Hatch, round 6. Okay, we had a few cautions, but what a race, what a thrilling race. And well, we'll bring the results back up here. Bobby Zelensky with the win, Marco Mogger in second with Eric Blixt in third. That's your podium. Welcome back everyone, Paul Smith here. Justin Prince had to run off. Had prior engagement, so it's just me for the post-race show here on RaceSport TV and iRacing Live. Don't forget, get your thoughts on who was the most exciting driver in that race who didn't finish on the podium. That's a crucial point we have to make there. They happened to have finished on the podium to get a nomination for the most exciting driver, because the vote for that, for the Hard Charger Award, the iAnalyze Hard Charger Award, let's give it its full title, is for going to be a vote on the Socks Out Racing Facebook page, where we're going to have, if you, the fans, decide who is going to be the winner of that Hard Charger Award and 1 month's iAnalyze software use. But we're going to do the post-race show, and let's bring in your race winner for today. It is, of course, Bobby Zelensky. And Bobby, you've made it a clean sweep so far, but that one you had to work a little bit more for with the restarts on the plenty cautions today.
Well, yeah, those cautions made it more exciting for sure, especially with a couple guys staying out there. And we were all on new tires that one restart and had to try to get by them. But you got to earn these things, and I think this is a case, this race, where probably wasn't the fastest guy, but I raced really well, and I put in a really good qualifying lap, and I was just able to control as much as I can control and take it.
Well, I mean, that's it. We saw with that particular restart, as you say, pretty much everybody in the field, bar 2 people, came into the pits for their tyres at that point. So you were in that third place behind the 2 race clutch trucks. And was it really, would you say it really helped being able to get past those trucks before you headed up onto the Grand Prix loop, just to get that little bit of separation between you and the rest of the field?
Yeah, for sure, especially because there's not a lot of great places to pass other than those first couple of turns, and Yeah, I got under an Eric going into 2, and then Peroni just kind of missed turn 2, and I was able to get to his right side. And then I had the fresh tire, so I was able to go around him. And then everyone else was stuck behind them still, so that was super crucial because you could easily get stuck behind, and then boom, you know, like Blixt or Morgan gets under you in a corner and passes you, and then boom, you lost the lead. Oh, we might not win the race now. So it's just it felt like on NASCAR oval race. So I think that played in my favor with the restarts.
Well, that second half of the race going green, then we saw you build up that little bit of a gap, about 3 seconds, but then Marco was just putting in some really hot laps towards the end there. Were you getting a little bit worried there, or did you know you had a little bit in the tank to be able to just push?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't, intentionally like just kind of riding just by my time. I wanted to keep that gap up as much as I could, but it was just faster, and most of his speed just came out of consistency. We were just talking about it in the other room. We're running quite different gears. So I was basically like a gear, I was in like first gear in the last left-hander of the circuit. He was in second, kind of thing. And there were certain corners where he would just kill me, and it was just super hard to be consistent. But it was the best gear for me. It was just really hard to be consistent with it, and I think that's how he brought the gap down. He was just way more consistent, and that's everything in a road race. The last couple laps, I kind of got it together, and I was able to, get like a 10th or 2 on him. But I think he was faster today. But managed to win the race, so that's all that matters.
Well, absolutely, that's the thing that matters. The big W that goes against your name. And Silverstone, the next round. What's your thoughts on going to the home of British motorsport?
Yeah, I like that track. I like it in the Formula cars. I like it in these. Last year we went there and didn't get the win, but I felt really good. I actually had a penalty and I had to start in the back of that race, and didn't get to qualify, so I got 4th. But I felt really good about my pace. I just enjoy the track, so that's really what it's about. And so I'll go over there, have some fun, and maybe we can win again. I don't know. Marco's freaking flying lately, so it's gonna be hard.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go, Bobby, anyone you want to thank? Anybody from Slip Angle that helps you get it done?
Yeah, thanks to sponsors on the car, of course, Virtual to Reality TV and Payday GG, as well as Virtual Racing School also on the car. All of them contribute quite a bit. And yeah, shout out to Sibling and Motorsports. By the way, John Allen's back this week. He's been out with an injury for a while and been busy with life and stuff. And he came back, didn't have, the preparation he wanted. Came out with P11, good point, solid result. That's what we needed. Finally got my teammate back for the team championship, so that's awesome. And he'll be a lot better for next round for sure. We're gonna work on a bunch of stuff and get working as teammates. We haven't really had the opportunity yet this season, so I look forward to that.
Oh well, Bobby, congratulations, another win, and on to Silverstone.
Thank you.
So that's Bobby Zelensky then joining us, and well, let's move on now to the man who finished in second place, Marco Mogren. And Marco, a very interesting race, that one. Getting involved in a few things, having to work your way and fight your way through with Eric Blixt as well. Just talk us through that race from your point of view.
Yeah, qualifying didn't go exactly to plan. I screwed up my lap and spun the first try. Couldn't reset because you lose laps, so went on a bit of hotter tires and just scraped into second, which I guess was fine enough. I don't expect to beat Bobby in qualifying. Start was fine, then there was a few safety cars. I guess the first one was fine, and then the second, when the pits opened, kind of annoying losing the place to Eric there, second, and then Eric Andre and Jawed Karoni staying out. I guess they weren't quite aware of that you could pit during the safety car, so they were, well, the difference in speed between new and old tires really had an effect there, and Bobby got away, I guess. I felt as if our car or setup had better tire wear, and I think once I get past Eric, where he made a little mistake exiting the penultimate corner, I got by. I think I was 3 seconds behind, and I noticed that I was gaining on Bobby, just not enough laps to do anything, which was a shame. I was hoping for challenging for the win, but not quite there yet, I guess.
But you certainly put in the effort. You were really gaining on Bobby there at the end, and we saw you having a little moment on that last lap as well towards the end of the lap, the back end really stepping out on you, so you were pushing right to the end there.
Yeah, that was just... I think I was a bit aggressive with the downshifts. It's quite a bumpy track, this track, so you have to be careful around basically every corner. And as I said, I wanted to push for the win, but just not there.
Well, I mean, I mentioned it to Bobby. Silverstone next time out, bit of a different track, a lot wider as well. Is that track a bit more high speed? What's your thoughts going into that in July?
I don't really know. I'm not giving it much thought. I focus on the next round that's coming, and I'm still winding down from this one. So I guess we'll see. I generally like Silverstone. It's a fun track, and as you say, it's a wider one, so it's easier to set up the overtakes. So I guess I hope that me and Sven can get a setup that's good on the tires, so that we can use it, and perhaps no cautions that race. So we'll see.
And just finally, who gets it done for you for the team? Any sponsors? Any mentions?
Sven, teammate, of course. Thanks to him, and our sponsors: Six Sideways, Your Real Time, Cranfield Simulation, Aster Sim Race, and Armacentrum. And of course, thank you to Racebot for putting on an awesome broadcast.
Okay, well, congratulations up. Second place, started second, but a hard-fought second place for you there, Marco Mogren.
Thank you.
And from Marco Mogren, a man that he was battling with, who ended up finishing in third place, Eric Blixt. And Eric, you started that race in third place, had a bit of a good battle with Marco Mogren there. Just talk us through your side of that battle, because you're really pushing each other to the limit there in that one.
Yeah, for sure. I was hanging on for dear life. I didn't really expect to be this far up this race, but we had some pace in the car, and the setup that got shared to us was great. So yeah, it was a sweaty race for sure.
It certainly looked like hard work, and of course with various cautions, you decided to come in with the majority of the field in that second caution there. Was it always did you always expect there to be a number of cautions here to be able to come in and pit early?
Oh, I didn't really count on the cautions, but I just go when the others go, because I knew they were helping me keep the pace up.
Absolutely, and of course the newer tyres, we saw how it affected the race clutch drivers, how staying out on those older tyres really did affect. How bad was the drop-off with the tyres here?
In my opinion, the drop-off isn't as steep as it used to be. You can still keep the tires alive, unless you drive them a bit too hard like I did in the end. I used a bit too much rear brake and made the rear tires go a bit too hot to be comfortable to drive with.
And well, I've asked the front two, I'll ask you. So we've got Silverstone next time out then in the V8 SuperTrucks. What's your thoughts on that race?
Yeah, Silverstone isn't really a favorite, so I don't really know. I hope for a good finish, top 5.
Get some good points. That's sort of the aim, is it then?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go, Eric, Lempol's Racing, who gets it done for you?
Everyone that organized this event is a big thanks.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and congratulations on the podium finish. Top 3, still a good result in this competitive field.
Yeah, thanks.
So that was Eric Blix then joining us. Now, the next driver we're going to speak to is the man who gained the most positions in that race. And I believe that it's going to be James King from Team Bushfink Racing, who's going to join us in the commentary booth, hopefully here now. So James, starting 15th in this field, not able to qualify, but able to move your way through and ended up in 6th place, not that far off of Logan Clampett. Just talk us through your race, because it looked hectic back there.
Oh, it definitely was, but that was probably the best race I've had this season. For some reason I seemed to just nail every restart, which obviously helped me getting past people. And then, that final bit at the end, battling with Sven and Logan was an awful lot of fun.
Absolutely, and these trucks around Brands Hatch, we're not used to seeing this sort of combination of vehicles around here. What was your thoughts on the racing here? Because it looked to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. We did this last year or 2 years ago, I believe.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and it was obviously great fun then. But obviously the times have changed, the car's changed in the way it drives, and it was. I definitely don't remember it being this difficult. But yeah.
Well, this is it. Me and Justin in the commentary, we were noticing that quite a number of the drivers were having issues keeping the trucks going in a straight line, especially on corner exit, and even across the bumps. One of the cautions caused by Sam Harris, just hitting a bump wrong and the back end losing it, and that was it. Lost control into a wall.
Yeah, I think this new suspension geometry has properly thrown a spanner in the works for all the setups. I know Christian Challoner, he makes sort of the baseline setups for us so that we're not left out in the dark completely. And he only made it yesterday, obviously with him working on peak antifreeze as well. But it was a good setup there. There's still something to find, I think.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, anyone you want to give a quick mention to?
As always, the rest of the guys at TBR, they're always a great help. We've got Craig from Craig Setup Shops. He doesn't build the setups, but he likes being mentioned. And then Joachim Lundgren, or Pixel Dust AB. He's the excellent painter who makes our cars look so wonderful.
Okay, well, congratulations! You made the most positions. So you're in the vote for the Hard Charger Award this time out. So hopefully it all goes well and people vote for that on the Soxat Racing Facebook group.
Yeah, I'll definitely get everyone to vote for it.
Thanks a lot for joining us, James.
Yeah, cheers.
Okay, well, I would have liked to have spoken to Logan Clampett, because he would have been our choice here in the commentary booth for the most exciting driver. But whilst we've got people waiting here, we've still got a couple of actually hanging around, so we might as well talk to them. First of all, Sven Kemmerts, 4th place in the end for yourself. You started 4th there, but it wasn't plain sailing. It was a bit of bumping and barging, and also a little mistake down at Graham Hill Bend for you.
It was an interesting race. I wasn't really happy with the initial contact, but the good thing is I still ended up in 4th place, which is not a bad finish in the end. And I got to do some racing, which didn't really happen on the previous races. So I had fun. It was a good track with the trucks, and as I said, 4th place. I can't really complain with that.
Absolutely. Considering that you dropped out of the top 10, didn't you, at one point with that one down at Graham Hill Bend, but having to fight through and really put on a good show for us today, Sven.
Full props go to Marco Mogren for the setup. We started practicing a little bit earlier since it was a new build, new suspension model, etc. And we really worked something out that had a really good long run pace. Sadly, it didn't really come together with some of the cautions. We didn't really get to show his full potential, but I had a bit of damage, but Marco did manage to close in on Bobby at the end on the long run, so he's looking good for the next coming races, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Silverstone, what's your thoughts on that finally?
Silverstone I like very much. I've qualified on pole last season, so definitely looking forward to that. And we'll should also be a good fun race as it was here today.
Okay, well done on the 4th place there, Sven.
Thank you very much.
And well, finally, hopefully, if he is around here, I would like to speak to Martin Capel because he was involved in a bit of battling towards the end there, and he does join us now. So Martin, just talk us through your race. You started 7th, ended up finishing in 10th place. Just what happened? What didn't quite go right for you today?
Yeah, it wasn't a great race for me, although I had some decent battles with a few people, so thanks for that. But yeah, I made a few mistakes on my own, so just purely my fault that I ended up 10th in the end.
Absolutely, and well, you know, we've been looking forward as well to the next round. The next round's at Silverstone. What are your thoughts on Silverstone? Is it a track that you enjoy?
Well, not really. I had some nice memories from the last time we drove there, but it's not my favorite track, so I'll just keep it safe there, I guess.
Well, this is it, because when you think about it with the teams as well, with your standings, you know, it's all about getting some good points. If it's a track that maybe you don't enjoy, getting a really good solid result for the team to get some good points.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Absolutely. Well, but still, 10th place. You're in the top 10 there for today's race, and congratulations. Thank you very much for joining us in the commentary booth.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so that was Martin Capel then, and I think what we'll do is, before we head on off, just to remind you that you can go vote for the Hard Charger Award on the Socks Out Racing Facebook group. Of course, the Hard Charger wins 1 month's use of the iAnalyze software, which of course is one of the sponsors of this series. So make sure you check out the Socks Out Racing Facebook group for that one. That vote will be going up very shortly. James King was the most positions gained in that one, and the commentary booth's choice for driver for the most exciting, we would have to put down for Logan Clampett, coming through from 9th and getting involved, getting stuck in, and making some moves there at the end. But well, that's all from this evening's broadcast. That's all we've got time for you, I'm afraid. But before we let you go, just a quick few thanks. It was cameras were brought to you by Istvan Baloo with TrackCams22.com. The overlay design is brought to you by Andreas Werner of Andwern Designs, the official graphics partnership with RaceSpot TV. The development of the graphics brought to you with Simon Grossman and Appgeneer and their Ativo product. That's what you see with all the animations you see on screen. And live timing, as always, brought to you on RaceSpot TV by Nick Feasum. I've been Paul Smith. Joining us in the commentary booth, of course, was Justin Prince. He had to dash off there, but what a race, what an exciting race. And well, we go on next to Silverstone for the round 7 of the Socks Out Racing V8 SuperTrucks Championship. Make sure you join us in early July for all the action here on iRacing Live and RaceSpot TV. But from myself, Paul Smith, it's good night.